last one for them. Who? Isa alayhi salam. And if they were bad to prophets, they were the worst to Isa. They were the worst. They were never worse to anybody else than Isa alayhi salam. Actually, they started insulting him even when he was a baby. At least let him grow up a little before you go after him. You know? They started it from day one. They went after him and they went after his mother. They didn't even spare his mom. And they finally, not only did they insult him and make lies against him, even when he was a baby, eventually they even conspired to what? To kill him. But Allah didn't let them kill him. And Allah removed him from them. When He removed him from them, Allah decided something. Allah decided no more prophets for you. It stopped. The last one was who? Isa. Then almost 600 years go by, no prophets for them. The well has run dry. They were used to getting it every generation, and then it stopped. For almost 6 centuries. So now they are really appreciating, we wish we had a messenger again. Oh. Because the books told us there's one more coming, and he's going to be from the family of Ibrahim, and he's going to be from the son of Ibrahim. He's coming, we're waiting for him. And they were waiting for him and waiting for him and waiting for him, and he wasn't coming. And you know what? That time, some of them were living in the Arab world. Some of them were living in Arabia. And sometimes they used to fight with the children of Ismail. The people of Quraysh. They used to have fights. And they used to lose all the time. And when they lost, they used to say, you got us this time. But the final messenger is coming. You watch. When he comes, we're going to get you. He's coming. The score is going to be, oh, ho, ho. And so he came. But the problem was, according to them, he came to the wrong address. He was supposed to come on this side, and he came on, which family? The children of Ismail. And they're like, oh, what? How does that work? We can't have that. So they went back in their books and they said, wait, Allah told us there's a prophet coming. Where's it? It was there. They had it. They kind of forgot to, because he didn't come for so long, they decided that they won't even talk about the fact that he will come from the older son's lineage. I'll stop the story for a second. I'll tell you something I learned recently. There's an amazing scholar of Islamic history, incredible scholar. A lot of people don't know him. He's an Indian alim. He died in the early 1900s. His name is Hamiduddin Farahi. Hamiduddin Farahi. I'll tell you something about what makes him amazing. This man, this Indian scholar, he traveled to Syria, to Morocco, to Hijaz to study deen. He studied hadith, tafsir, Quran in the 1800s. He traveled back then. There were no flights back then, by the way. Right? And he studied religion for about 50 years of his life. He studied Islam. And then he decided that he wants to understand the Jewish religion. So for 10 years, he studied Hebrew. After being like a master of Arabic language. He's an Indian scholar. He only wrote in Arabic. He only wrote in Arabic. He's such a gangster. I love him. He's like my hero. He's like the Desi scholar that has the most epic Arabic. I love that man. You know, I read some of his books and I'm like, oh, that's good stuff. You know. So he decides to study Hebrew because of one ayah of the Quran. يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ. They know him like they know their own children. Allah said they know him, they know the final prophet, they know Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam like they know who? Their own children. So he decides if they know him that well, he must be in their book. But if I need to see their book, I don't trust them too much. I want to read it myself. So if I want to read it myself, what do I have to learn? So he spends 10 years learning Hebrew. And then he writes a book. He writes a book called Ar-Ra'yu Sahih fi Man Huwa Al-Dhabih. The correct opinion about who was to be slaughtered. I need you to understand this background. It's a fun story. I thought you were talking about Ramadan today, Ustad Nouman. I think you're a little too tired. It's coming. And it's going to come before Ramadan. Relax, okay? So we'll get there. But I need you to understand this first. So it's such an awesome book. It's broken up into 3 parts. Part 1, how the Bible proves that the son that was supposed to be slaughtered, by the way, what am I talking about, the son that was supposed to be slaughtered? Who was supposed to slaughter a son? Ibrahim was supposed to slaughter his son. Why? Why was he supposed to slaughter a son? Because he saw a dream. Now the Jews say that the son he was supposed to slaughter was Ishaq. And the Quran actually indicates very strongly that the son he was supposed to slaughter is who? Ismail. Now you could say, who cares? He didn't get slaughtered anyway, so what's the problem? There's no problem. There is a problem. Let me tell you why. You know what they did? They said that the son to be slaughtered is Ishaq. That's because Ishaq is the special son. And that means that Ismail is the cursed son. And that means that Ismail and all of his children are cursed. And every religion they follow will be the religion of the devil. They wrote this. All of it based on what? That the son to be slaughtered was who? Ishaq. And they made the entire story up in the Torah. And they changed the language of it. And this scholar showed that this is how they changed it. He took his son to a valley where there was just one fountain of water. A valley with just one fountain of water. And then they say the name of the valley was Sacca. Oh, that's an interesting misspelling of what? Makkah. And he took him between the valley of Syifa and Mura. Syifa and Mura. Safa and... I wish they had Microsoft Word back then. Maybe we wouldn't have this problem. Bill Gates could have solved this problem a long time ago. For God's sake. And then the funny thing, they say he took him close to the Temple of Solomon. Here's a problem. Solomon came many generations later, dude. You messed up your own story. You know, geographically it doesn't even work. So the first part of his book, he showed how the Torah is actually doing their changed version is doing a really bad job of hiding Makkah. Then the book says, the Bible says, slaughter your only son. Slaughter your only son. Now we mentioned two sons. Who are the two sons? Ismail and Ishaq. Quran tells us, Torah also tells us, the older son is Ismail, 14 years older. Ismail is older. Ishaq is what? If you have a younger son, you will never say your only son. You can only say your only son if you only have one son. And you can only say that for which son? For Ismail. Then they said, no. But you know, Ismail was born from a slave girl. So Ibrahim wasn't really married to her. So he doesn't count as a legitimate child. They were willing to call a prophet an illegitimate child just so they can hold on to the idea that Ishaq is the one to be slaughtered. They were willing to change Makkah to what? Sacca. They were willing to change Marwa to Mura. Just so they can hold on to that idea. Why? Because we can't even stand one prophet on that side. We want all of them on this side. And for lots of centuries, nobody came on that side, so there's no problem. We're happy. But all of a sudden, the prophet comes on this side, and they say, wait, we tried to cover this up. We tried to cover this up. How come this came out? And the Quran, clearly talks about how they hid it. They had it, but they hid it on purpose. And they wouldn't tell their people. And by the way, there were a lot of people of the Jewish community at the time in Medina who would hear the Prophet ﷺ speak, and they say, wait, we heard a khutbah about this. He's the one. Then they'd go back to their sheikh. Hey. And he says, I know, but shh. And the Quran talks about those secret meetings too. أتحدثونهم بما فتح الله عليكم ليحاجوكم به عند ربكم أفلا تعقلون. Oh my God! They would go in secret meetings and say, he's the one who gave a khutbah about it last week on Saturday. Because they don't have Friday khutbah, right? And he'd say, yeah, of course, but come on, man. We want to switch sides now? We can't do that. Now let me go back and tell you why this is about Ramadan. The Prophet ﷺ